The same Keir Starmer that decriminalised illegal immigrants have prioritised illegals over our own good people, has thrown them into hotels.
Katie Hopkins sparks controversy with her latest claims about Keir Starmer. You're not going to believe what just happened. Katie Hopkins has just thrown a fresh wave of controversy into the already chaotic world of British politics. And this time, her focus is none other than the current UK Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. Now, whether you like her or not, there's one thing no one can deny when Katie Hopkins speaks: she knows how to get people talking. And that's exactly what's happening right now across the country. Social media's on fire. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, everyone's reacting, debating, arguing. Some are saying she's just saying what people are thinking, while others are calling it another attention grab. But here's the thing. What she revealed this time hits a nerve many Brits have been quietly feeling for months. So what did Katie Hopkins actually say? In her latest video, Hopkins went off not in a wild rant, but in that sharp, cutting tone she's known for, questioning whether Keir Starmer truly represents the working-class voters who once trusted Labour to stand up for them. She didn't accuse him of anything illegal or corrupt, but she did paint a picture of a leader who's, in her words, forgotten where he came from. She said, "You look at Starmer now and you see a man polished by politics, not powered by people." And that line alone. It's been quoted, reposted, and debated thousands of times in the last 24 hours. Hopkins went further, comparing the current Labour government's tone to what she described as a soft authoritarianism dressed up as compassion. That statement, loaded as it sounds, taps directly into ongoing conversations in the UK about free speech, government overreach, and whether the new leadership style is truly democratic or just carefully packaged. Of course, Keir Starmer hasn't personally responded to Hopkins' comments, and let's be honest, he probably won't. The Prime Minister rarely engages directly with controversial media figures. But insiders within Labour have already pushed back. One senior Labour aide, speaking to The Independent, reportedly said, "Katie Hopkins thrives on outrage. She's not offering solutions, just noise." But here's what's interesting: the noise, as they call it, seems to be echoing in all the right places. Across social media, people are split. One viral comment read, "Say what you will about Katie, but she's saying what millions of us are thinking: the government feels out of touch." Another fired back, "We can't keep giving her a platform, she's been wrong about everything before." But beyond the back and forth, there's something deeper happening here, a shift in tone. Because love her or hate her, Hopkins is once again poking at something that's been brewing beneath the surface: frustration. Frustration about leadership that feels disconnected. Frustration about promises that sound good on paper but don't change anything on the ground. And when someone, even a controversial figure, puts that into words, people listen. Keir Starmer came to power with a clear promise: stability, competence, and integrity after years of political turmoil. And for many, that promise was refreshing. Calm after the chaos. But now, some critics say that calm has turned into silence. That the government feels too cautious, too careful, too polished. Even within Labour's own ranks, murmurs are growing about whether the party has lost some of the passion that once defined it. Hopkins may not be part of that political circle, but her words have a way of amplifying those frustrations. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Political commentator Dan Wootton, reacting to Hopkins' remarks, said something fascinating on his live stream. When Katie speaks, she doesn't move the mainstream, she exposes what the mainstream doesn't want to admit. And maybe that's the real story here. It's not about whether she's right or wrong. It's about why her message resonates so loudly right now. Because it's not just about Starmer, it's about trust. About whether people still feel represented by the system that claims to speak for them. Hopkins, intentionally or not, has once again tapped into that growing sense of political fatigue, the feeling that the powerful are getting more distant, while ordinary people are getting more invisible. One BBC analyst put it best. Hopkins' comments may be inflammatory, but they reflect a real anxiety in the electorate that political leadership has become more about presentation than conviction. And that right there is why this moment matters. Because beyond the headlines, the outrage, and the online chaos, there's a real question being asked. Who does the Prime Minister truly stand for now? Is it the people who voted for change, or the system that resists it? Now, to be clear, Katie Hopkins' record is controversial. She's been banned from platforms before, she's faced legal battles, and she's made more than her fair share of offensive remarks. But the fact that her words still spark nationwide debate says something powerful about the political climate we're in. It says people are hungry not necessarily for outrage, but for honesty. And when mainstream politicians sound too rehearsed, too scripted, too afraid to speak plainly, that hunger grows. That's why Hopkins' name still trends. That's why clips of her commentary still go viral. Because people don't just want polite politics anymore. They want passion. They want conviction, even if it's messy. So where does this go from here? If Starmer ignores it, nothing changes on the surface, but the undercurrent of discontent keeps growing. If he responds, he risks giving Hopkins even more attention, something Downing Street would definitely prefer to avoid. Either way, the conversation has already shifted. Hopkins lit the match. And now the debate is burning across the UK, not just about her words, but about the direction this country is heading under Starmer's leadership. And the question everyone's asking right now is simple. If this is how people already feel disconnected, unheard, frustrated, what happens next when the patience runs out? Because maybe, just maybe, what Katie Hopkins revealed isn't about her at all. Maybe it's about the uncomfortable truth that's been hiding in plain sight, that Britain's trust in its leaders is hanging by a thread. And if no one's brave enough to talk about it, someone like Katie Hopkins always will.